In this episode of the Coffee with Cannell show, we're going to be doing some Q&A. We're going to be bringing on one of our Think Media certified coaches, Sam, doing some coaching and some question and answer with a few individuals. But right at the start, I just want to briefly talk about 3 habits of content creators that grow during tough times. The content creators that thrive in any algorithm, any economy, any environment, I really believe have 3 habits. They see a particular way, they think a particular way, and then they act in a particular way. And so I just want to start off with those. Smash like if you're here for the live stream. Good to see you. And then, of course, we're going to be getting into all kinds of cool stuff a little bit later. What's up? Jordy, what's up? So much media. Good to see you, Linda. Excited to dive into this content. So what are the 3 habits of content creators that grow during difficult times? Number 1, they see possibilities when everybody else sees problems. You know, I really had this on my heart this morning because I was thinking about just the environment we're living to in the world today. There's just a lot of problems. Looming recession, rising depression, and in the US, an election. It's got a lot of people stressed out. And increasing competition. You know, if you become a scientist analyzing the details of problems in the world, problems with your YouTube channel, problems with your life, problems with your spouse, those might be easy to find. Come on. Problems, you're going to find what you're looking for. But I've learned that content creators, business owners, and entrepreneurs that thrive and grow during tough times, they see possibilities when everybody else sees problems. Question for you. What do you see? What are you looking at? What do you see? What's your vision full of? And I think practically in 2024, one of my goals is to hang out with possibility people. Man, I want to hang out with people who see possibilities, not people who ignore problems. Did you know that really what entrepreneurs do is entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit? So why 99% of people get discouraged and get overwhelmed when they're surrounded by problems, entrepreneurs get excited because until there's a problem, you don't have an opportunity. A problem is an opportunity to start a YouTube channel. A problem is an opportunity to solve that problem. A problem is an opportunity to be a solution. A problem is an opportunity to give someone encouragement. Until there's a problem, there's no opportunity for innovation. If people have no needs, they have no problems, then they wouldn't buy anything. They wouldn't look for answers online because they'd just be cool. I'm good. But it's once I have problems. You know, one of the kinds of videos we create would be videos that solve problems. People are searching for answers to problems. So all I just want to encourage you with is, I don't know if you're feeling it, but I feel like there's rising fear, rising discouragement. People are overwhelmed. There's a lot going on right now. Who do I listen to? A habit of creators that grow during tough times is they see possibilities when everybody else is seeing problems. And within every problem or obstacle lays the seed of equal or greater opportunity or benefit. So inside of a problem is a seed to actually use that problem as a slingshot, use that problem as a chance to grow. So I just want to ask you, what do you see? Here's the second thing, the second habit that content creators that grow during tough times. And again, views are down on YouTube. For the majority of creators, they're getting less views. I just read a comment in our community yesterday, Think Podcast. And it was like, I used to be getting 1,000 views on every video. Now I'm getting 200. People are feeling like maybe my shorts views are up, but my long form views are down. There's so much paranoia and fear being propagated by clickbait gurus that are just kind of like pointing to problems and giving no solutions. Got to be careful of those people. It's one thing to identify the problem, but I hope that the people you're listening to, that the conclusion by the end of it is, man, I can adapt. I can pivot. I can use this to my advantage. Yeah, there's a problem, but that means that there's even more opportunity to find a solution. So there's just so much going on. The second habit is content creators that grow during tough times think positively when everybody else is drowning in negativity. They think positively. Are you guarding your mindset? What are you thinking about? What is preoccupying your thoughts? What is on your mind most of the day? Are you allowing fear to paralyze you? Negative thinking to put you into a downward spiral? Are you allowing negative thinking to cause you to procrastinate? I'm not going to hit record today. I'm not going to make a video today. I don't know. It's just all, is it even worth it? You just get in this downward cycle of negativity. Now, listen, I understand. There's two haters watching this right now that are like, oh, you're just, Sean, you're always like the positive guy. You're like, you're always, it's just empty optimism. You know, oh, just think positively. Just think positively. And that's kind of your brand or whatever. But here's my challenge to you is if you're going to be thinking anyways, you might as well be thinking positively. And if you're going to be thinking anyways, you might as well be thinking big and thinking about solutions. But here's what science says. A positive mindset can increase your lifespan up to 7 years. So, hey, it's your choice. Like, if you just want to be like, no, I love my cynicism and my negativity, hey, it's up to you. It's to shorten your life. 85% of people who have a positive mindset experience significantly less depression and anxiety. So you got to guard your mind. You know, you got to guard your psychology. You got to guard your mindset. And specifically right now, because I've been feeling it. I'm looking at what the YouTube algorithm's recommending. I'm looking at kind of the news, which is probably not really worth watching most of the time. I mean, stay informed, but the news literally monetizes your fear. So you just got to be thinking about, like, what's the agenda here? What's happening behind this? Content creators that grow during tough times think positively when everybody else is thinking negatively. And science backs up that the power of positive thinking. And, you know, there's a great book. It's called Good to Great. In fact, our theme this year at Think Media is Good to Great. And in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, he talks about great leaders face reality, but with unshakable optimism. So positive thinking isn't like, I'm just pretending like everything is great. I'm denying that the Titanic is sinking. But remember, there's a way we see, because we see possibilities in the midst of problems. So great leaders, they see the problem. They're aware of the obstacle. They're not in denial. But two, they think positively when the majority thinks negatively. This is one of the biggest opportunities to grow on YouTube right now over the coming months and the coming years. When it appears like you should give up, many will, but those who stay positive and keep taking action are going to gain territory. Why? Because they see a certain way. They got clear vision because they think a certain way. They're thinking positive, guarding their mindset. But number 3 is habits of content creators that grow during tough times. They act bravely when everyone else is frozen in fear. So, you know, I'm not a secret guy. I mean, I wrote the book YouTube Secrets, but like The Secret. I'm not a law of attraction guy, not into any of that kind of stuff. I'm a walk by faith type of a guy. But sometimes what can happen in that arena, you know, is like, oh, I'm thinking big. I'm thinking and growing rich. Napoleon Hill. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to think. But again, if all you ever do is think and you never take action, if all you ever do is like stay positive, but you never take action, if all you ever do is dream big, I'm just super pumped. Are you actually pressing record and innovating and researching and leveling up your skills and reading those books and listening to those audiobooks and consuming that course and implementing that workbook and executing and learning and growing and taking action? Because if you're not taking action, nothing's going to happen. So it's going to start in our mind, and it's going to start in our belief system. It's even going to start in our spirit. It's going to start in our soul, because it's an inward out lifestyle. What's your inner game is going to affect your outer game. So we got to see possibilities when everybody else sees problems. We got to think positively when everybody else is drowning in negativity. But if you miss number 3, then it's just not going to work, right? You're not going to actually grow during difficult times. You got to act bravely when everybody else is frozen in fear. The only way to beat fear is to take massive daily action. And I want to encourage you not to wait until you have all the answers. So let's talk about the 70% rule for making decisions. So this was popularized by Jeff Bezos. Love him or hate him. Let me know how you feel if you're on the YouTube live of this, or but regardless, one thing we can acknowledge about Jeff is that he's built a decent company. I mean, he built a decent in terms. I know there's the ramifications of what Amazon has done, but he was, out of all the people you could listen to business advice from, maybe you're on YouTube, you're getting your business advice from some 23-year-old who got lucky in crypto, and you think you should be like following that guy. Like, I mean, okay, you can pick your mentors, but I mean, Jeff, whatever. And maybe you don't want marriage advice from Jeff Bezos, but there's maybe a few business lessons. So he came up with the 70% rule. This is so essential in 2024. So Jeff Bezos' 70% rule for making business decisions came from one of his letters to the shareholders. And here's the basic premise. Why ideally you want to have access to all the information more often than not. Waiting until you have all the information will hurt your company. So what he came up with was a rule that said, once I got 70% of information, we need to make a decision. And I see too many content creators and too many entrepreneurs waiting until they have all the information and missing every opportunity because it's too late. So in a 2024 environment, well, I just want to kind of wait until to see what the election results are. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not till November. Like in 2024, like, I just want to wait until I just want to wait until I get more information about my niche. I just want to wait and research more. We teach people to research in Video Reiki Academy. And it's such a critical component. Research before you record. But a lot of our students, we have to coach them and help their mindset, but you need to leave the research phase. You're not trying to research until you have 100% clarity and 100% confidence that this next video is going to be incredible. Dude, you get to 70%, all right, cool, let's move to the next R. Like, you get to 70%, all right, let's move on. Like, the 70% rule is like, all right, we got enough information. And you might be going, but how can I know for sure this will work? You don't. Amazon has lost billions of dollars from testing things that didn't work. But they're like $1 trillion company because why? They're taking action. They're solving problems. They're innovating, clearly thinking positively, but they're being brave when everyone else is frozen in fear, because let's just wait to see how this plays out. Let's just wait to see how the algorithm change. Let's just wait to see. Content creators that grow during tough times are not in the wait and see. Now, don't get me wrong. Haste makes mistakes. Like just running out there without research, running out there without doing market research in your niche, or considering how the platform is changing, or having due diligence as a content creator, as an operator, as a founder, to do your research, to get feedback, to do focus groups or case studies, to talk to your community, to get in research back on your product, to do some test content, to see what's happening. The 70% rule doesn't just say, just make it up and just go guns blazing into the battle. No. It's like, you got to do your due diligence to get as much feedback as possible so you can make strategic decisions going forward. But I see too many people, again, they're waiting until they have all the information. And it reminds me of a quote from like Lemony Snicket. I think that's who it was. It was like, if we wait until we're ready, we're going to be waiting the rest of our lives. This applies to you if you're starting. I'm waiting until I feel ready. You'll never feel ready. I'm waiting until I am ready. You will never be ready. I'm waiting until I have all the information. It's never going to happen. I'm waiting until I have the perfect camera. There is no perfect camera. I'm waiting. Like, hey, just get some strategy. Subscribe to the Think Media podcast. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the Coffee with Cannell show that we stream live on the Think Media podcast YouTube channel. But once you got 70%, take action. What if it fails? You got to be willing to fail a couple of times, because failures are the stepping stones until success. And, these are the 3 tips of habits of content creators that grow during tough times. But my 4th bonus tip, and I know that we have people with different backgrounds and different beliefs, but really my 4th bonus tip is, I believe that content creators that grow during tough times are going to stay close to God. And I actually want to encourage you, maybe you've never really sought God or really pursued God or really thought, I really want to research this and really like dive deep into faith, or maybe at one time you were kind of pursuing God and you haven't been. Psalms 34, 4-5 says, I sought the Lord and he answered me and he delivered me from all my fears. It says, those who look to him are radiant and their faces will never be ashamed. I actually really believe that, especially during tough times, it's the times when we need the most courage. Just so you can take it from me, because I want to be transparent with you of my biggest secrets. Like, my biggest secret isn't like, oh yeah, I work hard on my mindset and my psychology. And by the way, I do. I'm all for counselors and good books and science-backed principles. But the secret of my success is God, period. The secret of my success is following Jesus, being in the Bible, and drawing strength from the Holy Spirit. Psalm 23:4 says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, and your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So even in 2024, and it's the year of chaos, and it really is. It's a year of uncertainty. It's the year of chaos. There's fears on the rise. There's never been more anxiety. There's never been more dissonance in people just feeling let down by politicians, feeling separation anxiety, feeling isolated. There's so much stuff happening in culture. It's never been more important, in my opinion, to stay close to God. Some people might say, oh, your faith is just a crutch. You're right. Like, apart from God, I'm nothing. It's actually on Christ, this solid rock, I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. And we see a lot of people sinking right now, and a lot of people drowning under the vitriol and the negativity and the heaviness and the fear and the evil. And there's something about being built on a rock. So for what it's worth, and I always want to, I'm not here to preach or anything. Like, we're here to help you grow our YouTube channel, and we respect people of all different backgrounds and beliefs. But I would be doing you a disservice if I did not tell you how I have grown through ups and downs, through marital struggles, through chronic health issues from both myself and my wife, how I've made it through good seasons in our business and bad seasons in our business, and how the trajectory of Think Media has been slow and steady. What's the secret? Stay close to God. That's just number 4. And, 2 Timothy 1:7, as we land the plane, says, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of self-control. If you want to crush it in 2024, come on, you want power, love, self-control, self-discipline. Am I going to stay focused? You've had those days? I know I've had them where you're like, man, I'm so overwhelmed. My emotions are so fried. I'm just hearing so much. I feel like I can't do anything. I just want to get a pint of Ben and Jerry's, crawl into bed, turn on The Bear season 2, and just kind of like chill out, man. Listen, there's like a time and place for everything. Like, that sounds amazing right now. Like, I haven't seen the final episode of Bear. Yes, chef. Yes, chef. But ultimately, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and self-control. For the believer, that person that's not perfect, but they're seeking him who is perfect and drawing strength from God, man, you stay close to God. Where's that supernatural power come from in your life? Where does that love come from when, even if you're being betrayed, or people are lying in your world, or you're being backstabbed, or you feel like stuff's happening in your family, or you're seeing people not living up to their world? Man, how do you stay steady? How do you keep loving people? How do you love your enemies? How do you pray for those who persecute you? How do you bless those who curse you? It's a supernatural thing. It's not a natural thing. Like, oh, I'm that disciplined, I've just reached enlightenment. No. I haven't reached enlightenment. I've reached out to God as a broken man, and I need Jesus to take the wheel. Did you see that meme where it was like Jesus standing next to all the wheels he took? Anyways, niche reference. So I just want to encourage you. 3 habits of content creators that grow during tough times, really 4 habits. 1, they see possibilities when everybody else sees problems. 2, they think positively when everybody else is drowning in negativity. 3, they act bravely when everybody else is frozen in fear. And bonus tip number 4, I believe that the engine behind all of that is stay close to God. And no matter what let me just encourage you. I just think a good pursuit in life would not be so focused on the here and now and the temporal, but would be to inspect these eternal questions. There's thoughts like, man, I'm just so caught up in the day to day. When was the last time I prayed for an hour? When was the last time I went to church? When was the last time I opened up my Bible? When was the last time I sought truth that's unshakable and solid in a world that's falling apart, in confusion, in disillusionment? God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. I hope you got value out of that. And today's podcast, we were going to throw this on audio, is just also brought to you by growwithvideolive.com. If you didn't know, Grow With Video Live's coming up soon. We actually have another speaker we're about to announce that's just making it insane. But we got Dave Ramsey, Pat Flynn, Shalene Johnson, John Bevere. And we actually do have a Bible study prayer session. John Bevere is going to be talking about during one of our sessions about, man, how do we have faith-based, Bible-based principles for growing as content creators and business owners. Myself, the Think Media team, our Think Media coaches, Brian Griffin is going to be speaking and doing different panels and stuff. It's going to be power-packed. So growwithvideolive.com. This is the Coffee with Cannell show. And actually, if you haven't heard, check this out. And we're going to dive into Q&A. We're going to dive into our guests. And so let's kick it to this video, though.
We don't do because we have this little tiny bit of fear that offsets all the other data and all the other evidence in our life that causes us to not go do something. You know, no one accidentally wins. You become what you think about. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Because effort, talent, education, bothering to show up is not equal. I'm amazed at the number of people that the only thing holding them back to going to the next level in their business, the next level in their leadership, the next level in their marriage, the next level with their parenting, the next level in their wealth building, the only thing holding them back is they don't believe they can. Together, we're going to rise up, baby. We're going to go to a whole different level that we've never been to before. Every one of us in this room are going to leave changed.
So here's kind of what's crazy, because some people were like, why are you having Dave Ramsey speak? But if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to teach, build an online course, if you want to write a book, if you want to build a personal brand, if you want to be a speaker, Dave is A1. He's a legend in all of those things. How has he written best-selling books? For content creators, though, how has he dominated old media? You want to crush on YouTube. How did he dominate radio? Still does, Sirius XM. But then also, how is he the #1 personal finance YouTuber? He actually, you would never apply the word YouTuber in most circles, but how does he think about how he does Q&A, how he structures his shows? How does he think about how he teaches, makes complex things simple? And of course, you always have Dave speaking about personal finance, or Dave maybe speaking about business and entree leadership. But to have this one-of-a-kind opportunity, and really he's never spoken into this idea of like, what does it mean to build a personal brand and then a media brand? It's going to be awesome. And then we also have greats like Shalene Johnson and Pat Flynn, and then I it's confirmed, but like until it's like confirm, I can't announce one other person, where unfortunately it might be too late if you don't grab your ticket now, because prices do go up. You know, we have early bird price going on right now, but we have another speaker announcement probably by like Monday or something that makes this event just insane. But anyways, growwithvideolive.com. You can get tickets. A couple of different levels: general admission, VIP, platinum, if you want to get a picture with Dave, and some other stuff like that. And I want to welcome Sam, who's one of our Think Media coaches, to the stream. Sam, how's it going?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing today?
Great. And so we're going to do coaching with Charlene here in a second, and then Paul. But for those that are just meeting you, so you're the winner of 2 communication awards for graphic design. You have worked with government agencies and social media marketing. You're an awesome teacher. You're a YouTube creator yourself, and you're one of our Think Media coaches. And so if people are just meeting Sam, shout him out in the chat. he's going to be doing Q&A with me today, as well as some of the coaching here. And before we get into that, I do want to hit one question. And so let's talk about this really quick. We have April-ly. Question for Sean. What are some things Christian creators should pray about daily and also during tough times? Sam, you want to hit that first?
Absolutely, man. I love that question. I saw that question come through the chat, and I was hoping we'd be able to tackle that on this call. And what I think about is kind of the way we approach business here at Think Media, right? We pray a lot. We have a monthly prayer meeting that we go to. It's kind of an open session, and then one of the things that we like to do as well is kind of pray before we go live, pray before doing videos, and some of those things, those key points that you can hit on, for me are, God, give me the words to say that will help and encourage my audience. Give me the eyes to see those potential moments where there's, that little piece of information or that acknowledgement of somebody in the chat that maybe that's exactly what they need. And because the thing that I think about is that not all Christian content creators are creating Christian content, right? For myself personally, on my personal channel, I talk about Photoshop. Here at Think Media, we talk about camera gear and YouTube, but it's in those small moments. And again, the Bible tells us about that still small voice of Christ and how we hear that. And sometimes God's speaking through us, that still small voice. And so, Lord, what are the moments where I can be the eyes, I can be the mouth, how you can speak and use my content to potentially transform somebody's life and use my example of how I present myself to reach out to my audience. And so that's really kind of the things that I think about. You have any insights on that? Yeah.
Yeah, one of the other good ones that I always love is what Solomon prayed for. And so when I think about tough times, we know he prayed for wisdom. And what he didn't pray for, when he had a dream, he encounters God in First Kings and Chronicles. The story is recorded, and and God says, he goes, and I pray for wisdom and discernment that I could lead during tough times, lead these great people of yours. And God says, because you didn't ask for money and he didn't ask for influence and he actually said, you're going to get all that other stuff as well. But because he asked for wisdom. So man, when you're in tough times, God's your business partner, if you're for the believer. And it's like, hey, give me my next few moves, give me wisdom, lead the right people into my life and the wrong people out of my life. Give me wisdom, help me navigate. And trusting him, what's so interesting is wisdom is the master key that opens all the other doors, because he didn't pray. And because sometimes as content creators, I just pray for a silver play button. God, I just pray and pray for whatever you want. But what's so interesting is often in the history of scripture, we see that a lot of times it's God, give me the strength and courage and give me wisdom. And then by executing on the plans and those downloads, then there's the silver play button, or there's the business idea, or there's that next monetization plan. So that's one other idea for you. That's a great question. We're going to welcome on Charlene. So fired up. She is a chartered financial analyst and an ex-JP Morgan professional. Charlene, welcome.
Hey, hello, Sean. Hello, Sam. Nice to see you both here.
Oh, so good to see you. Tell us about your channel, when did you start, and then we'll dive into your question.
Yeah, great. So my name is Charlene. Actually, Sean, last time I heard when you say, tell us why, the reason why behind, why you wanted to start a YouTube channel. I think that session really resonated with me. And then the why and how is, I started in September last year. And later last year, I quit my 10 years corporate job and then started my own business focusing on financial literacy. And really, when I see YouTube channel, I think across the board or, even other social media platform, which really makes me sad is that I see so many people, for example, in their 20s or, they tell you, buy this stock, sell that ETF, buy cryptocurrency, day trading. It really makes me sad and really concerns me. I think there is really a need, a demand for content creation for those, those professional banking professionals who really have the industry experience to share what they really know, to share the truth or, these kind of things. So that kind of, thing really resonated with me when you ask everyone why you want to start it. So my mission is really to empower everyday people to be more financially literate and eventually leads to the life of, financial freedom. And my past experience is mainly on private banking. You may know private banking, I keep making rich people richer. That was my past 10 years job, as a CFA charter holder, charter financial analyst, I started my career as a banking journalist and then moved to JP Morgan and now based in Zurich, Switzerland. So I just feel, what's the purpose of making those rich people richer? I want to, influence or leave a positive impact on everyday people. So
Man, I
that's
love your vision.
how I started.
One question for you. So you decided to walk away, I'm imagining, from a six-figure job.
Yeah, a nice six-figure job.
A nice six-figure job. When did you do that?
It was December last year.
December last year.
It was my first day of freedom.
And
freedom from corporate.
Now you're building your channel, but it's still in its early stage. So how did you make that leap? I'm just curious for those who have curiosity like me. Did you save? Okay. Did you get some investments going? And what was the tipping point for you to step out and go all in? Because I would imagine your YouTube channel isn't fully paying, or maybe it is. So how did you make the leap financially?
That's a really great question, Sean. I think, when you ask, what's the trigger, right? Like when you ask the reason behind, why you just left your job, probably you earn, a lot of people, they even earn, a lot more than that. I think there's always a push and a pull. I think in a push, on the push part, I would say after 10 years, you experience all that, ups and downs, you change your jobs, you got promoted, you change locations. I started my career in Beijing and Hong Kong, Singapore, and now in Zurich. I just feel like less and less, I don't see the purpose, I would say. That's the push. And the pull is like, I really wanted to have I try different business since younger, I try, e-commerce, this kind. I would say, having having something on my own, can have a business, can really influence, leave a positive impact. That can really give me purpose, having, working, we always say working for yourself instead of working for corporate. I think that really motivates me. And then in the meantime, I don't feel, I would say, fulfilled enough at corporate anymore.
And I love the vision, and feel free to not answer the question, but I am curious.
I'm very
financially, did you save? Did you say, okay, I'm going to save up, so then I jump out? Or did you get your side hustle to a certain side? Like how did you make that leap financially? Because I think that's what a lot of people would think.
Yeah. Especially in living in a place like Zurich, where you eat like noodles, they may cost you maybe $30 already. So I would say yes, after 10 years, indeed, I have some savings. And fortunately, I think, emotionally, also financially, I mean, I'm I would say, okay-ish, I can sustain myself. I ask myself, right? I think before you make any move, you need to ask yourself, can you really take it? I mean, you need to do a risk assessment. We always talk about, even in finance as well, in investment, you need to know your risk profile. Can you really sustain yourself, not only financially, but also emotionally, for half a year or 2 years when you want to set up your own thing? Very likely, I think 80-90% of all those entrepreneurs, they don't make any maybe profit, or not to mention break even the first few years or 2-3 years. So I say I'm lucky, by investing really early. That's also the thing I want to tell everyone, like especially millennials, like start early, believe in the power of compound interest, start small. I think it's same logic as making a good YouTube channel. It's the same logic as, investments. So super I really smart. Benefit from it.
My takeaway is like, okay, you kind of knew that, like maybe someday I want to do this. I was thinking about this, but you mentioned having some financial stability because you prepared by saving and investing. And you mentioned having some emotional stability with the right mindset. And this is what I want Coffee with Cannell to hear. The mindset was, this might not be profitable for a year or two, but you're going all in. And so, and you're not going all in with a lack of wisdom. People could do it, we all have different circumstances, but you're going all in with a financial plan and your emotional knowing your risk tolerance. The word risk is part of the definition of entrepreneur. Those who are willing to take an abnormal amount of risk, while most don't want to step into that level of risk, you have. And so props to you doing that. Well, we're going to dive into your channel. You had a question about why have your views gone down specifically over the past 6 weeks compared to before. I'd also like to do a little bit of a channel review with Sam here. And so, Sam, you can look at the notes and go directly to the channel. But I do want to highlight one cool new feature with just an immediate tip that we often share, but a new feature of vidIQ, which is kind of cool. So if you haven't tried vidIQ, vidIQ.com/think, you can get a trial of the boost plan. But one of the new features that's interesting is I do want to encourage you, here's my answer to your question as why are views down over the past 6 weeks? Views are down for most channels. And one of the big things that's changed is, in a way, it's been this way for a while, YouTube is less about subscribers. It's less about, having an audience. And 2024, all the social media algorithms are about judging individual pieces of content on their own merits. So this is why new channels could get hundreds of thousands of views, even if you only have 500 subscribers. And this is why a 10-year-old channel that has 100,000 subscribers might only get 500 views, because the stakes have risen in terms of just, let me really make sure I have a good topic. Let me really make sure I'm resonating with what's on people's minds now. Let me tap into trend surfing or influence surfing. Let me tap into what's happening now, and let me master the fundamentals on YouTube. So I think at Think Media, we have like a no victim mentality kind of idea. Just being like, because it's not going to be helpful if we're like, oh, I'm just a victim of the algorithm. Oh, I'm just, it's just, well, we need to look at the truth, but then how do we adapt and pivot? How do we see the possibilities? So I think it's about upping our game. And what I would say is, there's so many things that we can look at here in your most recent videos. What can you learn about these topics compared to maybe other topics you've covered? What can we learn about your hooks? What can we learn about the production or B-roll or things like that? But the new feature from vidIQ I was mentioning is this little number here where it calls it an outlier score. I bet this is also part of the free version if anyone wants to check that out. Again, we'll link it up in the show notes, vidIQ.com/think. And you can see this on other people's channels too. So the outlier score is these videos, which goes back to this idea of success leaves clues make part twos. But these are, I went to your most popular. And then what we're going to see here is, for example, your most popular video was 8.3 times better than your channel's average. So if once you created a library like you've created, I think we come into this and we say, okay, how to make 6 figures of income a year. That would speak to maybe you do a 6 figures a year series. My 20s success formula. Okay. So speaking to the demo of speaking to 20-year-olds is interesting. So you spin off on going deeper in 20s. Millionaire tips is certainly attractive. And so when we say success leaves clues make part twos, how do we turn this into a series? Okay, 5 money mistakes to avoid in 2024, expert advice. 2024 is very powerful because people want now information. They want to know, and you might get more specific than that. Fed just changed rates, or stock market is changing, or with the downturn or whatever. So whatever, but besides just 5 money make mistakes, 2024 speaks to recency. It speaks to the now. But all that to say is, as far as 1, views are down for a lot of people. 2, we don't accept that. We say, okay, that might be the fact. More competition. YouTube Shorts is distracting. It's taking a lot of some of the homepage space. It's taking a lot of the space on mobile phones. It's the first 4 videos I see in my home feed on my mobile phone. I see shorts before I see long form. So attention can be being pulled away from long form, but we make no excuses. We can either make excuses or get results. And at Think Media, we get results. Like we say, okay, how can I adapt? How can I pivot? And so what are your thoughts on that? Any feedback? Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, I think the serious thing is really something that I'm currently consider more and more. I think, especially for the end card, and also you can put some cards in between. That super helpful. And I have a follow-up question, Sean. Actually, the one that you see, the most popular one, actually I try to promote it across, ask some help also across different social media platforms. So I also don't know, like what's your opinion on, asking, some people they say, oh, we can share your videos on different platforms like Instagram, Facebook, groups, and LinkedIn. So this one, I gather some, help from like a social media manager who said they will help with performance. So I'm also trying to secure views on that as well.
Yeah. My advice is as follows. One, the best way to grow on YouTube is on YouTube itself. So focusing a lot of your energy on a great hook, average view duration, click-through rate, great topic, great video, the YouTube algorithm, ranking in YouTube search, being suggested by the YouTube algorithm will always give you more views than you could ever get from external promotion on other social media platforms. But two, I'm all for it, especially in the early days of trying to grow a channel. It's hand-to-hand social media warfare. I'm looking for one viewer at a time. I'm looking for one person on LinkedIn that's like, oh, cool, I love your new channel. I didn't know it existed until you told me it existed. The argument against promoting on social media is that sometimes it actually could be harmful, because if people click, only watch a few seconds and don't stay, it would be better if the YouTube algorithm puts your videos in front of people who are most likely to be satisfied by it. So they watch it for the longest time possible, thereby compounding the reach in the algorithm. But knowing that, I think that there's a great reason to do promotion, as you're saying. And I'll also reveal, I believe, the number one social media strategy for promoting your YouTube videos in 2024. And that is using keywords on Instagram. And let me explain. So on Instagram, a couple things have happened, and this is probably true across platforms. Link in bio isn't dead, but doesn't work like it used to. And now there's a warning for link in bio. Hey, go click the link in my bio, go to my bio, and it says this might be a scam, this might be whatever. It doesn't mean that you are a scam, but it just says it for everybody, like before they're allowed to go to the link in bio. What you could also say is that when you measure, do people go to your link in bio, say on Instagram? And if you want to see the full video, go to my link in bio. But the new school thing that probably everyone's seen is, if you want to watch this video or you want me to send you this free thing, comment a particular word on this post.
Yeah,
and so
yes. Saw it a lot, actually.
Yeah, you see it a lot. And so it does cost if you invest in something like ManyChat, and you can set it up as an automation. But if you're growth hacking in the early stage, you could still have people do it, and you could just manually send them the link. But I would say this is the execution. If I promoted a podcast that I did with Lewis House and I said, go click the link in bio, like nobody would do it. Like it'd be very, very small percentage of people. But here's like the 3-step framework. Step one, I actually did a news formatted, I used a template on Canva, and I said, number one podcast host reveals his YouTube growth strategies for 2024. Now, also, mind you, I didn't say Lewis House for 2 reasons. You either are going to recognize him, and you'll be like, that's going to be cool, or you don't recognize him. And if you don't, then why would you listen to him? So actually, rather than using his name, I used some authority. You could see it kind of has that news headline format. Then the second panel, the second carousel, is comment podcast for a link to watch. And then I've got the hook, and I put captions on of what's being said in the hook of the interview, which would be best practice, because if you're going to watch a long form interview, putting some of the juiciest parts up front is going to be helpful if you can pull that off. Reasons they should stick around to watch the entire thing. And then I kind of intro, hey, in this podcast, I'm going to listen. Now, all I did to create this was actually screen recorded my own YouTube video. There's probably an easier way, but like I'm not that good at stuff. And then I put this into CapCut and I let CapCut create these captions. I made the little white background in CapCut. And so I'm also using the optimized Instagram format. By the way, if I use just this vertical intro, horrible. People putting 16:9 videos on Instagram, you need to stop. Like, I don't know what you're doing. People putting 16:9 images on Instagram, like, it's 2024. There's no excuse. Okay, so this is the optimized Instagram feed resolution. Second panel is a little bit of a hook to promote the video. And then comment podcast. And then third panel is also comment podcast, and I'll send you the link. Now, there's another reason why this all works. This in and of itself, two things happen when you tell people to comment. When you tell people to comment, that's engagement. And Mark Zuckerberg, when he's not raising cattle in Hawaii and having them drink beer so the meat is more tender, is wanting the algorithms to have comments. So the nature of even just saying comment, which also is the thing that triggers the DM that leads to the episode, helps the post reach more people. Secondly, the carousel effect. Oh, what is this? And I click here. And if I dwell on this and I watch this entire hook to even decide if I want to watch it, and I click to here, me clicking the carousel is more engagement. And me dwelling on this post to consume all of this and even read the caption is all more engagement. So now the post is being promoted by the algorithm and even more people see it. And then the quality of each element cause even more people to comment and more people to dwell on the first carousel, the hook in the middle, and the last thing, and causes it to be promoted even more. As a result, 580 people have commented on this and got the DM. And therefore, from there, also consider this, they watched the hook to be teased about what's coming up in the episode. So if you think about, Steph, this is a pretty good clip. If you think about 580 link in bio clicks, that's pretty impossible. Like it wouldn't happen. And they go there, they might leave. Whereas I would call this like the best strategy in 2024 for moving people from Instagram to YouTube, getting a quality viewer that's moving over there. But let me also admit that if we look at the results of that video with Lewis, it's still best practice that why that video has like 20,000 views now. 580 are maybe, 2.5% of the views. If that's right. No, like a fraction, like 0.025. But nevertheless, I think using strategic, intentional social media posts, and for you, it might be LinkedIn articles. Like it actually might be like a LinkedIn article that adds value, that then that link actually, and if the article can rank and the article can go can go viral, and then some people go deeper into the video version. So I think less is more on social media, meaning crafting a high quality post like this is better than just random efforts. But I am all for promoting yourself on social media. We have to have a mindset of being, I think, aggressive with putting stuff out there. Okay. One other thing I want to share really quick and then I want Sam to do any feedback or strategies he sees on your channel. But, we talked about 20s. So I just also, if we thought about going deeper on some video ideas, I typed in how to invest in your 20s. And so how to invest in your 20s to be wealthy in your 30s, you should make that video. How to start investing in your 20s, you should make that video. How to start saving money in your 20s, and then how to buy a home in your 20s. I think in your 20s, because that's what I saw in your top viewed, and you could screenshot this. Back to the idea of topic, like coming up with the right topics and then packaging it really well. Let me be clear. I'm not saying that the exact title should be this, but this is the research phase of just kind of ideation. And then we make it fresh, find your angle, figure out your thumbnail and everything else. But what do you think about these? Do these video ideas inspire you?
Yeah, I would say so. And of course, there was some repetition, some overlap between those, for example, how to start investing in your 20s. It will be, for example, how to get rich in your 20s. And then you talk about investing. There will be some overlap or repetition, but I think, they're great ideas.
Awesome. All right, Sam, I was curious, looking at the channel, looking at the thumbnails, any thoughts, any strategies coming to your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can scroll up just to see the branding in general, because the first thing that came to mind when I popped on this channel was that this channel looks like a channel with a lot of subscribers, and that's a good thing. Great branding here. And when I saw that you were, you're at 552, and I think your subscribers have gone up about 5 subscribers in the last like 5 minutes because people are subscribing. But it's looking really good and very, very strong as far as the authority as you as a financial advisor and somebody that can actually give that information. I love everything that Sean was saying as well as about the utilizing LinkedIn, and I would also carry that over to your channel. I looked at the community tab, and you have one post on there, but you've got 13 people that engaged, I believe, with that post. And I would continue to do things like these polls. You're getting into financial education. I would say, craft a few polls that you can just have them automatic release and schedule those out. And that's going to be a great research piece for you as well, as people are engaging with the polls, maybe seeing where their knowledge base is. And you can do quizzes as well. And so you can actually do a poll response with an answer that actually gives context. I'd be totally utilizing all of this on the platform. And then, yeah. And in addition to that,
going, Sam, but like, it's been 4 weeks that you promoted on your community tab. You could do at least once a day.
Once a day, dude. Yeah.
You think that will help with subscriber engagement, or more like subscriber growing, or is which potential goals that we're currently seeking by doing this?
So it can. One of the things that I don't know if we can take a look at our analytics, but we've gotten subscribers engagement from the Think Media community tab post. But the bigger picture there, at least for me, the things I'm looking at are clues to what are people actually searching for? What are people looking for in the intent and the expectation of people on my channel? And so when you have that engagement, it actually can give you direct clues to the audience is looking for this video. Let me make that video. And so it's like direct audience feedback for your content. And then also the research tab. We've been talking about that in Elite. And so I've seen some of our Elite people running around in the chat, but the research tab is new in YouTube Studio. And that can also give you some of that direct feedback and give you clues to top searches, content gaps, different keywords and keyword phrases that are actually responses to your audience.
Whoo, dropping some bombs. And I did pull it up for you. Posts. Now, it's not like it's a lot. It's not like a subscriber growth strategy, but in the last 90 days on Think Media, we have gained 593 subscribers from community tab posts. Here's all we gained on videos. We gained, it's not telling us on shorts. We gained 6,000 subs on live. It's not telling us, but on posts, we gained 593. Right. And I think if we go over to audience, we could see the total subscribers. So out of the 112,000 subscribers Think Media gained in the last 90 days is what we're looking at, only 600 came from the community tab. So that mathematically, it's not like, oh, I'm doing this for subscriber growth. Sam said it exactly right. You're actually doing it for audience insights. You're doing it for ideation. You are doing it for depth, because the community tab is about the community tab that's there. And it's a conversation for another time. But I think that is also your place to, I think, like, look at some of our image posts that did well. We did a Merry Christmas post, Merry Christmas, #1 thing. So I think that's a place for a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of behind the scenes, a little bit of connection. Because also it's one thing to just get a subscriber and a passerby, but if you haven't built a bond, you want a return viewer that has some level of connection with you. I'm great to rank a video, get a viewer. Maybe they click an affiliate link, maybe, cool. But ultimately, if we're going to audience build, what are some different places where we can create greater bonds? And not everyone's going to like us. Not everyone's going to love us. So in some cases, you might post something that feels a little vulnerable. Like I earlier was talking about my faith. That'll offend some people, but other people will be like, whoa. And that actually kind of creates a bigger bond. So what are some of those things that you don't have to like make your videos? You're going to be adding massive direct value in your videos, but community tab could be to promote some videos, could be to do some surveys, could be to, do a lot of things. And there is one other thing that is interesting, Sam. There are channels, and I don't see this, it doesn't convert me. I don't actually go to the channel, but there are viral community tab posts that show up in my app all the time. Usually for me, it's some hip hop account that says which album was best. And they put 4 CD covers and they're like Method Man, like whatever. And I like always vote. And it's like, these posts get millions of reach. So there actually is a viral community tab opportunity. I'm not suggesting that, because again, I haven't clicked through the channel. I don't care. Maybe a lot of people have, but they are actually being suggested to cold traffic. The idea that a community tab post will not just be shown to your community, but actually can reach people who don't know you is something that a lot of people don't know.
Right. And I'm a big proponent of utilizing as much of the platform as you can, especially early on, experimenting with content, experimenting with content forms. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. And can I ask a follow-up question regarding the topics that we just mentioned? So I always have a problem regarding them. Like, for example, like now it's very clear the niche is personal finance and investing, but sometimes I also share something about, okay, my career, corporate life, how to negotiate salary, this type of content. Do you think that would be too broad, or do I, like in your view, do I need to niche like further down?
So I think that you asked this question. I remember that you talked about what content buckets should I have?
Yeah.
Here's what I would recommend. I would recommend, and this is kind of what we would teach at Think Media here, is think of your channel like a target, and you're playing darts, and there's like a bullseye, and then there's some things that are a little off from center. So if you're personal finance, investing advice, there's certain topics that are going to be like dead center. Like that is perfectly aligned. Now, if you also go how to negotiate your salary or advance in your career, in my mind, that's on target. It's not a bullseye, but it's on target in the sense of I'm going to make more money. It could tie in, by the way, if you want to learn how to invest your money, click or tap here on the end card. And so it's still on there. But what I like to use this analogy for is that if you were to say, I also realize that when I think about finance all day, it's so therapeutic for me to do gardening at night. So I'm going to do a video on gardening. We're off the bullseye. It's like somebody who drank too much during the dart game and they're like hit the wall, almost hit somebody in the face. Like, so, and too many channels, I think sometimes they go way off. So then I would think percentagely, you could almost score it. I would want, if I had 10 videos, I want 5 of those on bullseye topics as far as on brand, on my niche. I want 3 of those kind of slightly off, and maybe 1 out of 10 are going to be and sometimes it might just be on the edge. I think that some of us are too afraid to experiment, but others make the mistake where they're like, it kind of ties in. Gardening is therapeutic for me as a chartered financial analyst. You're like, all right. And that might also come up in the video, but a video about gardening is insanity. So I think like hit as many bullseyes as you can. Feel free to move out. Maybe a few darts hit the edge, but if it's like hitting the wall and just not even on the dartboard, then I think pass on it, because you do want to honor why your subscribers subscribed. Don't be afraid to experiment, but don't experiment with your next 10 videos. Experiment with 1 out of your next 10 videos. Okay, we got to move on. Are you getting value today, Charlene? Was this helpful?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, Sean.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for jumping on Coffee with Cannell show, and keep crushing it. All right, friends, smash like. We have Paul coming on here in a second, and we're excited because Paul is helping youth pastors build successful youth ministries. But if you are just joining, this is the Coffee with Cannell show. Let me know, what are you drinking? Dad jokes served fresh daily. Today I'm drinking, since you asked, a little Prodigal coffee. Got this at Narrative Coffee down in Everett, Washington. And we have notes of peach, raspberry, juicy. Just heard about this. This bag was $30. Get the bag alert. And it's only like 10 ounces or something like that, but it's so good. I always discover new coffee companies, then I start ordering online. Onyx Coffee, Black and White Coffee Roasters, Prodigal Coffee now. But let me know what you're drinking. So we're staying hydrated out here. And today's Coffee with Cannell is brought to you by growwithvideolive.com. I do want to invite you to come to Vegas and join us at the M Hotel for the #1 video marketing event for building your personal brand and business with video. 54 days and 12 hours until the event kicks off. We actually are announcing another speaker here shortly. Super fired up for this event. It's going to be amazing. And I guess we're announcing that Cody Sanchez is speaking at our event because she's on the website. So that announcement is happening. We are excited to welcome not just Dave Ramsey, not just Pat Flynn, not just Shalene Johnson, not just John Bevere, but Cody Sanchez. You heard it here first on the Coffee with Cannell show. Will also be joining us at Grow with Video Live. And so we also have like David Shands, Evan Didio. And you'll see a lot of people here. By the way, some of these people you may or may not recognize. We got Mary's Nest. We got Ben Izadi. We got Christina Patterson. We got Brian Griffith and so many more. And, Sam's going to be there. I think Sam's going to be crushing it, sharing tips on panels. So you got to get your tickets, man. growwithvideolive.com. Here is the thing. No hype or false scarcity or anything. We have limited capacity. #1, the event is not streaming. And I'm sorry. The reason why is because one, actually focus on the people in the room and complex. Last year we were hybrid and it was great. And thank you for being a part of the virtual, but it split our focus. And in a world where focus is power and human connection matters so much, it's just the environment that we want to create. Meeting in person, being in the room. I know it's a social media conference. So like, of course you're going to be on your phone and sharing, but even a little bit of like not scrolling, but like really not just getting the content and the information, but connecting with the other people there, the other business-minded content creators, the other entrepreneurs, the other small business owners. And so it's 2.5 days in Las Vegas. Extend over the weekend. Relax, hit the spa, go hiking in Red Rock, do your thing, watch some shows. growwithvideolive.com, 3 different ticket levels. And Cody Sanchez is speaking, which I'm glad that's confirmed. I mean, I wanted to say it, but I just didn't know. But I didn't know she was already on the website. And so, hey, fired up. It's pretty rare. Where are you going to get Dave Ramsey? Well, you're never going to get Dave Ramsey at a conference like this, but we got some great speakers, and then yours truly is planning out some sick content. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions about Grow with Video Live. Speaking of questions, is there a better way to upload large videos? You could hit us with another question on that. I mean, the best way would be fiber internet. The best way would be fast internet. The other way, though, is this could be a clip, Steph. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to maybe uploading videos that are too large, and I don't know about you, if you've ever been like frustrated because you're like, uploads take so long and my internet kind of sucks. And, it's frustrating to try to get my content on YouTube. One of the mistakes people make is they make a mistake in their export settings. They're exporting video files that are unnecessarily large. So if you've never heard about YouTube's recommended encoding settings, understanding these can give you a big advantage. So it tells you if you're using software, and some software doesn't give you all of these nuanced settings, but I'm a big Premiere Pro user. Maybe some you need to click advanced settings, and you actually can piece by piece make sure that these are the details. YouTube will accept almost any content format, but what they're saying here is these are the recommended content format. So they say make sure it's an MP4. It could be like an M4A, an MOV. It could be a lot of other things, but that's the container. Make sure it's an MP4. Okay. And they give you a couple geeky terms that you could say when exporting. Have the audio codec be AAC-LC. And if you're like, Sean, we got way too geeky. What are you talking about? Just copy this. Like, open up your advanced settings and copy what's on this page. Be like, okay, AAC-LC, stereo 5.1, great. Video codec H.264, which is a compression codec. You know, this is making it, taking large 4K files, making them smaller, but also making them still look good if you know, do everything right. Now, I see this all the time too. I see churches do this a lot, like interlacing, like they upload. I go, what did you do? I actually was just recently, I'm about to cry about it. Like I saw somebody with great camera, like the best camera in the world, like as good as Sony cameras as you can have right now. And they took that amazing quality and they turned it into a pile of crap. The struggle is real. Like by the wrong settings, or sometimes by your workflow, you compress it. And then I just see it by intuition. I see the final product. I'm like, oh, what happened? Like, why is it all interlaced and weird and skippy? And why is the frame rate weird? And I know this might stress you out because you're like, Sean, there's so much to learn, but this is what YouTube tells you. So you want H.264, and there might be different settings. So if you're also frustrated by like, why do my videos not look good when I upload them? It's fixing some of these things. They look good when I edit it, and then it looks good here, but I put it on YouTube and it doesn't look right. These are the pieces that could be wrong. And variable bit rate, like usually they will say there is a recommended bit rate. Oh, we'll get to that. I don't know why this gets me excited, but so there's your video codec. Your frame rate should be 24 or 25 or 30 or 48 or 50 or 60. Here's the biggest thing. You want to be consistent. One of the ways to jack up your videos is to like film in 24 and then edit in 60 and then export in 25. People do this. And you're like, I know why it's Frankenstein. Like you have crammed that footage into different places. Okay. Interlace content should be de-interlaced before uploading. In 2024, we shouldn't be interlacing anything, but that is, I grew up with like old school video camcorders. And so that way, you know, there you go. 1080i is 1080i interlaced. 1080i 60 content should be de-interlaced into 1080p. And I hear you complaining. You're going, Sean, I want to give up. Like this is, but people that are committed to excellence and mastery just endure through painful problems longer than others, where most would quit. Like, I feel like my entire life from 2008 to 2011 was like reading forums and Reddit forums and blogs and like wrapping my head around, you know, again, why is it 24 versus 25? 25 frames a second is like Europe. 24 is kind of like the rest of the world. On YouTube, it's almost like it doesn't matter, but you want it to be consistent. You get into like, and then interlace versus progressive and then bit rates. You can eventually learn all this stuff. So I just want to say, be patient, commit to learning it. Let's land the plane. Bit rate. So depending on what your file format is, and I know that the question was, how can I upload my videos faster? This is the biggest mistake people make. Now, if it is 4K video, it's going to be a big bit rate. They want, if you are doing like a 30 frame video and it is 4K 2160, if it's 1440, you do want to actually make sure that you have, I would set it to 16 megabytes per second. On Premiere, you could do a range and you let it be variable. And the point of that is not every frame of your video is as dynamic. Like if you're just sitting here and all that's moving is my lips are moving, then the bit rate doesn't need to be as high as if it was like Amazing Spider-Man swinging through a city and you want it to be really crispy. So variable bit rate in export allows it to be variable throughout the video, but you do want to make sure the ranges are big enough, because if YouTube's going to allow me to have 45 megabytes, I want to make sure that I can give it the highest quality possible. And what you'll notice is two things are in factor here: the resolution of the video and then the frame rate. So if you're a gamer and you want the crispiest 8K 60 frames per second footage, those files are going to be big. But your opportunity that I would argue is, I want, like, it's the MED, the minimum effective dose. So if your internet speeds are lower, maybe you're like, I'm going to commit to only doing 1080p videos, and I'm going to make sure that their bit rate is only 8 megabytes per second. And I don't know if that's going to fix your problem, the person who asked this question, but if you're uploading 40 megabytes per second video or exporting videos, then you're kind of it's overkill, and it's going to slow down your upload time, because your file size will be smaller if you at least, do the appropriate bit rate, but not too much. And you won't really sacrifice quality in the process. And we'll link up the link to the YouTube's recommended settings. You also have the HDR modes here. Aspect ratio is going to depend on what you're doing. There's color space. It gets a little geeky. And I know that most of us are stressed out by this. But based on the question, is there a way to upload large videos a better way? Again, faster internet. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or you are a content creator in the mid season of your career, invest in speed. By the way, for export times, invest in a better computer, because your videos will export faster. Invest in faster internet. Your videos will upload faster. And if you're taking this seriously, if you're just starting, I respect maybe money is tight, you don't have the nicest gear. It's never about your resources. It's always about your resourcefulness. But if you have some money, invest back in your tech, because these are the outputs of this career. How many videos, and we all know, we probably export a version, we're like, shoot, I got to fix some things. So you got to export it again. And on your computer, you've labeled it V6, 6 versions of that sucker. You've uploaded it a couple times. You upload it, watched it back, and you're like, I misspelled that title. So just think about like the points of contact, the computer speed, your internet speed, all of the above. But make sure you don't upload video files that are excessively large, especially if you have slow internet. Wow, Sam, did you know we were going to get that geeky today? Did you know? What did you think about that little combo?
That was legit right there.
All right. Well, I'm excited. We're going to have Paul come on here. And Paul Turner, welcome to the Coffee with Cannell show.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much.
Hey, Paul, tell us about what you do on YouTube, a little bit about your background, when you started your channel, and what you've been up to.
Sure. I've been a youth pastor now for a little over 30 years in various contexts. I'm still currently a youth pastor. I'm a part-time youth pastor in a small rural church. I started my YouTube channel in 2007, uploaded my first video. I got serious about it in 2012. And then from there, my motivation for doing the channel was to help youth pastors without having to go to a workshop or go to a conference or go to somewhere. I wanted to make sure I was doing content that they could find right there, on YouTube, be able to say, and I wanted to build a library. I just wanted to build a library of content around questions youth pastors were asking, especially, through my experiences over the past 30 years. Things that youth pastors really struggle with, some things that, to present at least to the best of my ability, a very authentic look of what it meant to be a youth pastor. And so I've done things like live streamed when I only had 5 kids, because that's real. That's 90% of churches in America, so my deal is that I just want to continue to do YouTube as long as I'm being effective. I really still believe in the mission. Youth pastor rates are down as far as youth pastors accepting, young men and women accepting the call to youth pastoring in churches. There's reasons for that. And so I want to keep doing it as long as I can be effective. And I've expanded out from my YouTube channel. I started a podcast. I have my blog that I do. And so
is your podcast this same podcast through YouTube here?
It is.
Cool.
So I do audio video. So I'll post the video. I'll do the video, do the Zoom, take the audio, and then put that up in my on my podcast. So yeah, it's and so I learned early on. I took an old bit from Hollywood. In Hollywood, they said you have to learn how to sing, act, and dance. And for me, it was like, well, you have to learn how to write, do video, and speak. And so I wanted to take those 3 things, make sure I'm doing them to the best of my ability, to be able to, to effectively impact the various streams of people that I wanted to come in contact and wanted to equip so they can build a successful youth ministry.
All right. Well, I love what you're doing, and also love your heart for the local church and for youth ministry. I'm going to have Sam break down your channel in kind of part 2 of this, and maybe share just some tactics on ideation, titles, thumbnails, and some feedback.
Be savage, Sam. Be savage.
But before we pull that up, Paul, I want to actually hit your question. And you asked, I'd like to know how I can pivot and expand into related content dealing with culture and church related things without becoming just another talking head or clickbait artist. So let me ask you though, are you wanting to stay niched in this youth pastor topic, or are you wanting to pivot your channel based on that question?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? That's the real question is because I don't want to, when I look on YouTube and I look at research topics, there's a lot of people wanting to do prophecy videos or election videos, or I'm like, listen, this channel is about equipping youth pastors to be, and I'm doing adjacent things, right? I'm doing I'm reading, articles on, dealing with Gen Z or culture, and I'm moving in that direction. But I want to remain as authentic as possible. I don't want to be, I don't want to get just the views. I want to be authentic to my audience. And I guess that's my concern is that if I do videos that are too far outside of where I'm at, that that those are number one videos I don't want to make, that I feel like I would have to make to get the views or get the things. And I'm wondering if, how can I make more adjacent copy with youth ministry that are going to be of interest? All my people predominantly, I believe the statistics are there as far as how people find my channel are game videos, right? Youth pastors love game videos. Nothing wrong with that. 3 out of my top 4 that are 6-digit videos are game videos. And I'm not going to be able to do games forever. I mean, as much as I might want to, maybe, but maybe I don't. I want to try to age with my channel. I want to, I'm doing well with the 18 to 44 crowd, demographically. I think what games bring them in, but my hope is that I would like to keep them through the coaching videos, through the what I call office hours, where I'll do a live video sometimes and answer questions. Much like Coffee with Cannell. And then I take those videos and then chop them up and do them. But those are my lowest rated videos. Those are under 100. Any of those type of questions, because I know that's, not necessarily what is being searched for, but I still find that, to me, the information is valuable in the sense of cataloging to have that question answered. Because later on, I'll take that same information and write a book or do a blog post. I mean, everything is everything. So the content, I'm willing to do the content if it serves the purpose of the local church and helping youth pastors. But I don't want to do, I don't want to do outrageous stuff because it's just not natural to me to do some of that, to talk about some things that I don't want to talk about on YouTube because I feel like they need more nuance or they need more context or whatever that is. So that's why I'd love to hear from you, Sean. What do you do?
What you're bringing up is one of the most important things and conversations that we have here at Think Media. I think Coffee with Cannell doesn't get talked about enough. You're feeling this tension between, okay, prophecy, end times, maybe more headlines type stuff could lead me to more views. Against the tension of the mission-driven core purpose that you stated of there's less youth ministers now, helping your average youth ministry that's, 5 kids, equipping them, helping them. And so then also being in this tension between calling, passion, mission, that could also be chasing virality or chasing, not that it would be chasing fame, but it could be chasing fame, chasing influence. Now, if you also, I think what happens is people go to extremes. They maybe accept the martyrdom of low views and they just only criticize people who are really good at culture surfing, like hacking culture. Whereas ultimately, if you are deeply passionate about your mission, it becomes your ethical responsibility, in my opinion, to become a great marketer, because content is king, but marketing is queen, and she runs the household. So by becoming, if it is, speaking about the dartboard, if it's still on brand and it's still helping you accomplish the mission, why not reach more people, or maybe get some people who are considering being, what they should do with their life, and instead of chasing money, they chase purpose, and you hack culture in order to, you know, to reach them. So it's really a tension to be managed rather than a problem to be solved. But I brought this up to also just prove a point that you already would understand. Let's look at youth ministry versus end times versus 2024 prophecy on Google Trends over the past 12 months. Here's what's actually kind of crazy is compared to youth ministry, according to Google Trends, youth ministry is a 0 as far as interest. And 2024 prophecy did not matter until it was 2024, naturally, as it was ramping up. And so it peaked right around January 6th. And then you just take end times in general is always popular. And so if we were, it's what are we solving for? Are we solving for, like, if you were to say, I want to actually have a huge YouTube channel, I want, which again, in and of itself, I wouldn't say that's bad, but it's like, well, I want to have a huge YouTube channel, then I would say youth ministry is probably the wrong vehicle. Look at the interest. And so you go, I'm also passionate about it. This is kind of what we help people in our niche finder course, is trying to find the intersection. This would be also how you could study like total addressable market. Like even if you were to go like church leadership, let's just say, and even that is similar to youth ministry compared, but it's a little bit bigger. You can see here around January, it's a little bit bigger than youth ministry. So then it comes back to a self-awareness piece. It comes back to and I love, of course, coming from a faith perspective, and the message that I love that you're already affirming, but I want our community to hear is, if we view the world through the kingdom lens, which just would be like the Jesus lens, the Jesus style, is it's an upside down kingdom. He didn't live for the approval of man or the praise of men or followers. He is the most followed today, but was also abandoned at times, and people left Jesus and stopped following Jesus, or wasn't afraid to offend people. He wasn't solving for crowd size. He wasn't solving, and the crowds came and they also went, but he was just staying on purpose. And so I think that's a big thing to consider. I think tapping into culture and trend surfing is huge. I like to stay neutral, because at the end of the day too, you're walking out what you've been in a certain season. You might go to a next season. You're doing that prayerfully. Ain't nothing wrong with starting an end times channel. Ain't nothing wrong with going to prophecy. It could be wrong in God's eyes if, one of my favorite books by John Bevere is called Driven by Eternity. And it was this idea that sometimes we might get to heaven and say, God, look at how big of a business I grew. Look at how many people impacted and how many people I employed. And you'll say, but yeah, you were supposed to be a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. If it was like, God, look at my youth ministry. I was faithful. The youth ministry grew from 10 to 50 to 100. And I pastored them. But yeah, didn't you always feel that pull to entrepreneurship? You had a gift for business, but you were afraid to step out in business. And so I think there is something about just wanting to really have kind of a fear of the Lord, and just like a reverence that says, yeah, God, where are you calling me to be? And getting wise counsel, being prayerful, looking in the word, because we have too much division between those things. Oh, well, like the holy thing to do would be to be in ministry, and the unholy thing would be to be in business. No. The holy thing to do would just be to follow Jesus and to follow those unique gifts, talents, and abilities where he could use you best. There was one time when Jesus, I think maybe it was demoniac, he was delivered, and he was like, I want to follow you. Jesus already had disciples. And he goes, no, don't. He goes back to your city and just talk about what God did in your life. So everyone's like, oh, I have to like be a full-time, I have to be Peter and John. And in this guy's case, it was, no, go back to town, keep living your life. I don't know what is, get back to your career and like talk about what God's done in your life. So I would what's hard is in the pressure where everybody just, and even in the church, values clout and values followers, and sometimes gets into that stuff. That's not the kingdom way of thinking. And sometimes too many critics, sometimes Christians also condemn it. That's also wrong, because favor ain't fair. And you might be jealous of somebody else's clout or their following, and we don't know what their heart is. At the end of the day, I just want to be faithful to steward the thing that God has put into my hand.
Yeah.
And I want to be thoughtful about Yeah, God. Side note, YouTube niche, like on our video podcast, we are feeling this tension. We were just brainstorming some episodes, and I was like, if we say 4 content creators or 4 YouTubers, and we compare ourselves to the Diary of a CEO, which talks about relationships or sleep. See, 100% of people on planet Earth have problems with their sleep. So the broad appeal of bringing on experts, you know what I mean, or sleep or food or diet, that's how big the total addressable market is. But then I have to go, okay, what's our domain? And I actually got to ask John Bevere personally. I said, John, and yeah, I've been talking a lot about Christian stuff lately, but I was like, I don't know, man. I just, because I love the local church and I love the Bible. And again, his opinion doesn't supersede God's opinion, but I like to welcome external wise voices. And it's in a multitude of counselors that there's wisdom and that there's safety. And so you get that different feedback from maybe trusted people. And he goes, stay exactly where you are, what you guys are doing. He just goes, no, stay exactly where you are. You got a unique thing going. I asked another person too, same thing. I was like, man, do we just like go more? Because I'm like, I want to do a conference for Christian content creators. We probably will do that. But I was like, I want to kind of maybe, and he was like, no, stay exactly where you are. There's 2 different people. And then of course I got to prayerfully think about that. So I know we've gone long here, but before we get into like Sam's tactics, looking at your channel, I think you could Sam's going to share some stuff to get more views in the niche you're in, but I'm curious processing that with you, Paul, where do you lean? Like for your future, next 5-10 years, do you feel God maybe expanding the vision, maybe pivoting, or do you actually feel like, man, I want to triple down on youth ministry regardless of the results? I want to be faithful. It's just about stewardship, of the thing that I know, the thing I've been doing, the need. What are your thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sean, because for me, you know, like you talk about the, clout chasing and those kind of things, I'm of a different era, I'm a Gen X guy, blue collar, get in there, work, get dirty, and let God deal with the results. Right. I'm not one to do that, but I do have to think about, the future. I do have to think about, am I gonna be, I can't be Ruslan. Okay. There's a lot of guys I can't be. I can only be me. And so I can't change who I am in that regard. If anything, if I decided to pivot, I maybe start another channel or something like that about some other things. But I think because I've been in this for so long, I will keep this channel for as long as I feel like the Lord leads me to do it, and continue to do it regardless of outcome in that sense, because I still use it as a platform for people to visit my store and buy youth ministry material. They'll still find my podcast. They'll still find, some of the get coaching if they want coaching, that kind of thing. Still do that. But I would like to be the elder statesman in the room. I don't want to be the old guy acting like a young guy, which would not be authentic to me. So in that process, my hope is that the Lord, this to me is an answer to prayer. To me, I pray, said, Lord, I need champions in my life. I need people who say, this is good. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what Paul's doing. To me, just being here and part of VRA and just being in this is, to me, is an answer to prayer, because it's the advice I need. It's the, affirmation in a way that says, hey, what you're doing is valuable. What you're doing is important. It's not a clear all, that God, it's not God's stamp saying, oh, Paul, you should do that forever. It's just a moment that says, okay, I want to do this for as long as I can do it, as long as the Lord allows me to do it, as long as I feel that I'm still contributing and being useful. If I feel like that's okay, then I'll do it. But I'm always working my side hustles. I'm always working other things. I've not pushed all my eggs into one basket on YouTube. I have plenty of other things that, I can do in that regard. But my hope is that the Lord will allow me to do it. I made a commitment when I was 17 years old, when I had 3 really good youth pastors in my life. And I saw one run out of the church by the pastor. And it made me so angry. And he quit. And I don't know if he was supposed to do it his whole life. But it was a terrible tragedy. And if anything, maybe my videos will help guys that are in those situations. And when I was 17 years old, I said, I'll do it for the rest of my life, Lord, if that's what you want. And so, yeah, so I'm still doing it until the Lord tells me different. I may have made a rash commitment. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'll keep doing it until I can do it, until the Lord says, let's do something else.
Have you tapped into any of those hard conversations, like how to deal with a challenging senior pastor and that kind of stuff?
I have. I've talked about meat grinder churches. I've talked about, I have a video that's set to go off next week called Youth Ministry Regrets or Ministry Regrets.
Good. Because that vulnerability, that real stuff, that emotional side, but also that wisdom. So a couple thoughts. Number one, it sounds like you answered your own question, and I would encourage you for 99%, and I found this to be true for me. See, what happened when I asked John Bevere, man, do we like pivot our brand and go like all Christian content creator? Again, just his opinion, but he goes, no. And it's what I already knew, because then I even look at my journal. I looked at what had I already prayed about? What had I already written down? What was the vision? And that's why in Habakkuk, right, it says, make the vision clear on tablets. There's something about having a vision. And here's what I see. It says, I help youth pastors build successful youth ministries. Like that's it. I mean, that's, and it doesn't mean that can't stop. But a lot of times I think it's about just coming back. It's so easy to drift. One thing that happened for us too, just in regards to, we started this program called Inner Circle, and we since sunsetted it because we realized today I shared some stuff. We're good at social media and we're good at online courses and we're good at email marketing. And we're like, we should talk about all that stuff too. But once we added that on, it added more complexity, and it was even somewhat fruitful. But the only way for a tree to truly have maximum fruit needs to be pruned back sometimes. And we had so much. In fact, it could get so thin that it starts to thin out. You're now it's actually getting unhealthy because there's too many branches. You haven't pruned it. So when we sunsetted Inner Circle, and then we went through this whole era where I was like literally the word YouTube. I'm like, we're talking about a lot of other stuff, online courses, social media, email marketing. And interestingly enough, especially like in our VRA Elite, those become, in the context of YouTube, the things that creators deal with, the business aspects that creators deal with. But in order to what is the core mission? And I was like, dude, I'm the author of YouTube Secrets. Our course is about YouTube. YouTube, and what can happen is you get tired. You've been doing this a lot of time. You're like, I don't know. Is there something? And so I think your idea of tapping into culture is smart, but this just hits so hard. Like, I help youth pastors build successful youth ministries. And that becomes the bullseye. And then I think that becomes a lens through which you can, of course, experiment, a lens through which you could try new things. But I would affirm everything you're saying. And let me just slightly rabbit trail to affirm I think we are in a crisis. Like my friend Kerry Newhoff is saying he's on a mission to reverse the decline of the local church. I think there's not enough young people that are answering the call to be a youth pastor, that are wanting to live or be willing to go through the sacrifice. Everybody also wants the packed out youth ministry, but they're not willing for also the character transformation that comes through when there's no kids and you just pray the whole time, or one kid that shows up. And I think just the mission you're still on is so important. And what I wanted to affirm was literally who I am today. If it wasn't for Jeff Moores, my youth pastor, we wouldn't be talking here. We wouldn't be having, and maybe, by the way, I might be on YouTube, but my whole life could be just crash, burn, empty, because it was the spiritual foundation and the character foundation, and sometimes the hard lessons and the challenging lessons, as well as a youth pastor who loved me, encouraged me, walked through tough times with me, had coffee with me. All of that, man, so critical. So the work you're doing is so important. And I hope this conversation just sparks the fire again, though, to become obsessed with mastery, of staying focused, but then bringing in that great marketing to reach more, impact more. And so I think that's why we should bring Sam on here. Sam, let's break it down. Anything that you want to cover as far as what are some tweaks we can make on the channel? Maybe start getting some more views, reach some more people.
Man, thank you for transitioning that, because I'm thinking to myself, how do you follow that up with things that really are secondary thumbnails,
Tactics.
titles?
Now we're in big vision. And that's kind of where it starts. I mean, start with why, right? So everybody listening to
Exactly
this,
it.
yeah, sometimes get like the core mission, the core purpose is huge, but then of course the tactics, those get layered on top of the strategy. All right, Sam, take it away.
All right. So yeah, looking at the channel, for sure there are some room for improvement, but I do want to acknowledge, like, 10,000 subscribers. Obviously there is some clarity there, and I love your optimized statement. You help youth pastors build successful youth ministries. Paul, are you currently still pastoring? Are you still youth pastoring?
I am on part-time in a rural church.
Okay, and you're working at a rural church. Is that church networked at all? Is it like a Assemblies of God?
Yeah, it's Assembly of God Church.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And have you reached out to, like, your district to get some additional, like, ideas, topics, trying to figure out, like, what are some of the issues that could be hitting your channel?
I have not reached out in that regard, but I did teach. I was asked to do a teaching at a retreat not too long ago, and was talking with youth workers and did the youth worker sessions.
Yeah. Okay.
And so was able to hear from them in regards to what they're dealing with.
That's good. That's good. Because when I'm looking at your channel, and let me see if we can bring the channel back up. When I'm looking at the channel, I do see kind of a wide diversity of the types of content. And so you obviously you got the games, and then you're going into different lessons, and then talking about missions trips and all the stuff. As a former youth pastor, like, I know where the thinking is. But what I'd love to see is a little bit more cohesiveness in the thumbnail strategy. And then maybe a little bit more simplicity in the thumbnails as well. I know that, like, this one's kind of simple. My eye is drawn to this one down here for the dodgeball, which ironically is one of your most viewed in the last month. And so looking at the clues of, what are people actually clicking on, and what is the desire for them to click on the video? That's where you want to go with your title and your thumbnail. And the topic overall, that's kind of like VRA Masters. We're talking through the perfect video recipe, right? This is step number one, the big idea. And in that, creating that thumbnail, title, and topic that is actually going to hit the desire of your audience. So that's where I would start. Sean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think your topics could use a lot of work. Let me talk about the ones I don't love. Valentine's Day Bible study, heart condition. Maybe the content, I think working on creating curiosity, working on creating an open loop, working on pulling interest, working on identifying a problem. When you say the craziest Christmas gift ever, unless I follow you, I'm like, I don't care. Now, the 3-word solution for every youth ministry problem, that actually feels like it has a little bit of meat on the bones, but even still. And so, fundamentally in VRA, it'd be like youth ministry games. And by the way, because people are looking for that. So that is a desire. It's search ideas. So even if you were to say like youth ministry ideas as like a nested keyword, that's the first 3, and then colon, 7 ideas for, and then it could be youth ministry ideas for what? Music. Youth ministry ideas for what? Volunteers. Youth mini for what? Sermons. So using some of those foundational tools, I am curious, Bard was renamed to Gemini. So if we tap into some AI and just say like, what are 20 video ideas for a channel for youth ministry leaders? And we'll see what this comes up with. Good title, top 10 icebreaker games for youth group. And the more consistently you post clickable topics, the better results, period. Meaning, if you did top 10 icebreaker games for youth group, then if you did how to use social media effectively in youth ministry, and then you did how to plan epic youth events on a budget, and then you did essential, like essential qualities of a successful youth ministry leader. It's pretty good. That'll be a little less clicked on, but it's good. Dealing with conflict and difficult situations. So we're stacking, like every next topic is strong. Whereas if I go here and I rate these, the Valentine's Day one wouldn't even be on my top 10 list. Mastering your youth ministry mission trip is actually pretty good. I might reposition the title. I understand this is more curious. This one youth group lesson on getting help was a hit. What this girl told me after the lesson blew my mind. I still I want fierce clarity. And that's what I like about these is how fierce, like, addressing tough questions about faith. I think, yeah, apologetic stuff. Social justice. I probably would do that. I mean, you could do whatever you feel, but I'm just thinking about which ones are like almost 10 out of 10. How to create a youth ministry budget tools. Pretty good. How to market and promote your youth ministry. This is kind of weird. I pull this from like network marketing, but one of the most famous network marketing things is how I recruited 10 people in 10 days. And so it's like, how do you double your youth ministry? Like how we got 5. And I start thinking, there's always sometimes I could speak to lazy youth pastors. And here's what I mean is you got youth ministry on Wednesday or sometimes during the week. And these guys are just wandering around on Sunday. Like, what are you doing on Sunday, man? Open up a booth, go meet some kids, do something for get some Krispy Kremes. Like what do y'all, you just think that posting on Instagram, number one, your students are probably watching a lot of other Instagram accounts rather than your Instagram account, which is I'm all for social media, but you start going for like real stuff. And you're like, so for most people, it wouldn't be about like reaching into the community. Even there could be a community outreach, but it'd be like 3 practical ways to double your youth ministry attendance by next, whatever. And so anyways, using an AI could be a good starter, but then kind of going through the filter. And that's kind of the unlock for me. I mean, even does God still do miracles? Great. I mean, 21 views, Pastor Matt Brown says yes, but that's like theology. That's
pretty
whatever,
general.
So I think it's getting back to if that's why I love this. I help youth ministries build successful, I help youth pastors build successful youth ministries. There's 100 topics: budgeting, growth, volunteers, communication systems, whatever. And then the momentum builds because I just got to ask, do they want a Valentine's Bible study? They may or may not, but that to me is like just a little, it also, for all of us watching this, you have 100 video ideas you could do next, but the discipline is to then refine it and only circle the 10 that would have the biggest impact. These all take a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So the more consistently you can actually hit like great topic after great topic after great topic, and less hit something like, again, does God still do miracles? Almost feels like something for a different channel. It's relevant because maybe that's on people's minds, but and by the way, if we're talking about maybe more charismatic, like it could be even more functional, like moving in spiritual gifts in youth ministry, 7 lessons I've learned. Well, then there's tangible as opposed to like, okay, where are we going next? Yep. And then by the way, the games are all great as well, because 7 games, 10. So I think applying what Sam said by thumbnail strategy, I think getting the titles and topics really dialed in, and then making it your goal. So if you feel led and you want to drop something like a Valentine's Day Bible study or something, great. But for everybody watching this, if your next 10 uploads, if all 10 of those could be like 10 out of 10 topics, it's going to perform a lot better if only like 2 are, because some of them are just like weak. They're like a 3 out of 10. Like the topic, it's a 2 out of 10 in terms of just how strong it is or poignant it is or how desirable it is. And coming back to like first principles, you help youth pastors build youth ministries.
Yeah. And that folds into one last question I have is this: would you recommend then to put some of these things in my membership, like the Valentine's lesson, like the podcast, like those things, to where it creates value within, to give my viewers a reason then to say, oh, all these lessons are going to go there, or even my underperforming Q&A videos or my live or my things where I answer questions? Do I put a lot of that stuff and then clean up the front to where that's all that they're going to see is this stacked one on top of the other of videos about nothing but how to build a successful youth ministry in that regard?
Well, I think I would go a higher level. I would say, what do people want? In both cases. And I think, I don't think it's about one or the other. I actually think it's the same thing in both places. What have you experienced in VRA? More of the same, but deeper. Definitely some overlap, but it's not different. What people want, and first principles. I want to raise more money. I want better unity with my senior pastor. I want more students. I want to connect deeper with the students. I'm stressed on making good sermons. I want to be a better sermon. So if they want Bible studies that they can tell, pre-prepared Bible studies, but this goes back to you talking to them and surveying them and pivoting all the time. So meaning I don't have a good answer for you. Your community has the better answer for you. Yeah. I don't know. Like, and what did you promise? Like if they're joining your membership, sometimes too, we spend so much energy. The reason they're in the membership is because every week, let's say you give them a PDF that allows them to have discussion questions or do games. And that's literally, they're like, this is why I stay in it. This is the only thing I want. And then you spend 90% of your other energy on stuff that like isn't generally consumed. And maybe there's 2 or 3 people who like it, but that would be the product refinement process of like, what do I put in my course? I don't think you should put your podcast behind. I think everything we've described is I would want it all to be great as I'm describing. And here's a mistake that's kind of coming to mind too. One, we're talking about great packaging externally on your YouTube channel so you get more views. And then ultimately that eventually they're in your membership. One of the biggest mistakes people make though, once they get inside of their online course or once they get inside, is they stop that. Right. Meaning this, I know that you're not like, it's weird to talk about sales, but that's, if at some point to sell is to serve. Business is not just a good idea. It's a God idea. And when I say, let's sell somebody on the video, that's not talking even about money. Where the title and the topic and the packaging is selling them on even watching it. The mistake people make is once you get inside your online course, once you get inside your membership, they stop even titling the membership videos well. I actually want curiosity-inducing click-through rate episodes inside of my membership area, because once they're inside, you don't assume, they're here now, so they're going to want this. You still need to title it not Valentine's Day, but like, discipleship for me, like this Valentine's Day Bible study held the students' attention. Click here to watch now. Like different ways. I'm not saying that has to be what it is, but like different ways you could do it. People stop that. When we structure our sessions for Grow with Video Live, we don't even take it for granted or assume people are going to come. They're already there. We want to make sure that it's written. So like inside of VRA, masters, consider this. You're already a VRA student. You have already purchased VRA. So one person would argue, great, all right, Paul's already in. So now it's up to him. He could go through video. It might be titled Video 1, Video 2, or it might be titled Reverse Engineer. We know that's the first R of the 7R framework. That's not a good title. Doesn't even make sense. Like if it just says Video 1, Reverse Engineer. What? Video 2, Research. Horrible names. So inside of VRA Masters, in your members area right now, here's my planning for it all. This is the 24th video inside of VRA Masters. Title, Video Podcasting Tips, Strategies, and Lessons from over 1 million downloads and 100,000 YouTube subscribers. So where I could title that's internal course. So I am still writing great titles to try to, and by the way, when I say to try to sell you, it's not costing you any more money. Like you've already paid for it. I'm just saying I'm now trying to internally continue to motivate and inspire you to consume the content inside of the course. So the thinking of this is to constantly think benefit driven, value driven. So I got VRA Masters titles I could call it video 25 interviews. Instead, I call it why you should interview experts on your channel and secrets learned from doing over 300 interviews. And then so then hopefully you're like, oh, what are the secrets? Okay. And contextualizing it. So this would be content is king, marketing is queen. Learning marketing, which is going to be packaging everything. Don't just package your YouTube videos, package your membership, package your podcast, package your podcast titles, package your course modules. So video 26 inside of VRA Masters, strategic content repurposing. That's factual, but the title ended up being content repurposing. Multiply your time and money by doing less. Now, mind you, it's a skill set content marathons. This is one of my favorite. Like, this is one of the most underrated strategies that almost nobody knows about. Content marathons, the weird and highly effective YouTube algorithm hack that anyone can do. So that's how much extra effort, rather than just saying, okay, cool, I got the sale. I got, no, it's like, no, I feel an ethical responsibility for you, as much as it depends on me and Sam as we serve our community, is like, we want you to consume the content, stay inspired, keep going through the modules in the members area, keep going through all that stuff, and continue to package each of those things. So I hope that answers your question. But if your people want the Valentine's Bible study, that's fine. But even still, the way it's packaged, I don't love. And I think that mastering packaging, as well as thinking about the topics, and this goes, what are the pain points and the value? When you agitate the pain point of the youth pastor, like frustrated with your senior pastor, ? Try these 3 things in your next meeting. I'm scrolling and I'm like, I am frustrated with my senior pastor. Like, so Valentine's Bible study hits my thread. I kind of need to plan that out. I don't, whatever. But frustrated with your senior pastor? Ugh, I am. Okay. And so, like, you want to, the creator who understands the viewer best wins. You want to really get focused on those, those pain points, call those out. As we land the plane, Paul, any other questions or thoughts?
No, I think you nailed them all. I think the key, and I think too, the ethical responsibility hits hard. That I have an ethical responsibility as to the purpose of youth pastors building successful youth ministries, is to make sure that I am providing the content consistently and deeper across the board to help them facilitate that. And then even with the other stuff, I need to figure out how to do that better, or I need another platform for that to be able to do that through, whether that's just through the podcast or whatever that may be. But yeah, I think you've nailed it, guys. I thank you so much. It was a blessing.
Yeah. Paul, can I leave you with one more thing too?
Please.
Because I think one of the distinct advantages you have is your experience. And so thinking back through your life and your life in ministry, and like the games and the sermons and that kind of stuff, that's really surface level, right? That is like the 5% of what actually youth pastor is. And so what are those deeper level? What's the 90% of, the person that searched through YouTube and what is a good game for my youth group? Well, what are they actually looking for? They're actually looking for, how do I get kids to engage with my ministry and draw them in and learn the Bible, right? That's the deeper question. And so thinking through those deeper questions of that desire, that word keeps coming up, but the desire. And then when you package it, what is the curiosity plus typically desire or fear, that emotion? That's what's going to help to drive, that click through on the other side. But having those deeper understanding and those deeper questions of what is that actual 90% that somebody is looking for in youth ministry that they're looking to implement so that they can continue in that ministry, right? So that was the last thing I had for you.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm trying to do the one good video a week.
Yes.
So once I master that, can I do 2?
I mean, if you want, but also just keep doing the one. And then also, I mean, it's totally up to you. And that's, figuring out your pace, figuring out your rhythm. Right. But man, Paul, we respect you so much. And thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for being a part of our community and being a part of VRA. And man, keep doing the good work. Don't grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time, you'll reap a harvest if you don't give up. My man. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right. We have a couple more questions. We are, an hour and 54 minutes into Coffee with Cannell today. And I do want to say this was kind of cool highlight for me with Paul. He said, it stood out to me when you said it was my ethical responsibility to become a good marketer. This is hard for a lot of people because, marketer is kind of like it's not a cool word. It's like, oh, I want to be a car salesman. Oh, that's great. That's a respectable profession. But when you think about, and especially when you go into ministry, oh, marketing your church. Oh, and then you start talking about sales and you start talking about faith, people get all weird. But I think this is a mindset that keeps a lot of people stuck, is if you, talking to Christians, believe you have the greatest message and the greatest story ever told, the gospel, if you believe the church is the hope of the world, if you believe that teaching people the Bible, loving them and having them in an environment in a strong community is going to be that environment that's going to create the most healthy them and their best future. And then, by the way, no matter what your background is, I hope you believe that the content you're teaching on your YouTube channel will change people's lives because it changed yours. That the insights you've learned from the mistakes you've made in your life that other people need to know so they can avoid pain, that they can have more opportunity. I hope you have a conviction about the content you're teaching, about your message, about your mission. If you do, the uncomfortable truth is that it then becomes your responsibility to be the chief marketing officer of your business and of your YouTube channel. It becomes your responsibility to be the chief sales officer of your book, your membership, your products, your programs. And so what ends up happening is we serve a lot of people here in Think Media. They're purpose-driven people, mission-driven entrepreneurs. But they're like, okay, I just want to build a good product or create great content. But I don't want to do the marketing thing. I don't want to do the sales thing. No. It's actually your responsibility to become world-class at marketing, world-class at sales. That's also what our company helps you with. I mean, you're going to learn those things inside of VRA or any, Grow a Video Live, because we're here to help you get your message out to the world and to lean into some of those things. But our limiting beliefs keep us stuck where we go, oh, there's something unethical about marketing. No, not if you do it ethically. There's something unethical about sales. No, not if you do it ethically. And then it's your responsibility to say, okay, I know I have a life-changing message and people need it, but I've got to be obsessed and willing to pursue mastery in writing great titles, making great thumbnails, positioning, branding, business operations, the business foundation of a creator business. And so I just want to encourage you. I hope that after this coffee with Cannell, you're like, man, I need to go deeper and I need to read, study, research, invest in myself to learn these critical skills. Because the biggest mistake a lot of business owners make is they don't understand that it is their responsibility to be the chief marketer of their business. Because you're probably not going to have a CMO day one or see anybody, no chief anything. You're going to be like founder and like your spouse and like one other, you don't even have a chief marketing officer. But even if you do, it's still your responsibility as the founder and the main person to own, what's the CEO's job? Cash flow, that the company doesn't go out of business. You can't just be sitting on the sidelines being like, oh, it's okay. I mean, at least the product's good. And if I build it, they will come. No, they won't. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. If you build it, there's no guarantee they'll come. If you build it, you also need to promote it, market it, get the word out there. And don't get tired of doing it, because you get back to the basics and then build it and market it and get the world out there again and again and adapt to AI and changes in the market and changes in the algorithm and constantly stay on the bleeding edge. Okay, we're going to land a few questions here. We've been having Sam hanging out here. What are some good resources for marketing foundation Bible studies? Sam, any come to mind resources for marketing?
Good resources for marketing. If I'm thinking through YouTube specific, if we're talking about titles, like Jake Thomas, he has a great newsletter, Creator Hooks. And so that's really good for marketing principles there.
And actually shout out that he's literally on Think Media today.
That's right. That did drop this morning.
So we'll link this up. One of the next videos you could watch is Nolan Molt talking to Jake Thomas about title expert reveals secrets to massive views. There it is right there. So
Yep.
crazy timing. And Jake Thomas was interviewed in that great video. Back to you, Sam.
That's good. I also love LinkedIn. So we mentioned LinkedIn earlier, but LinkedIn actually has courses and things that are available there. Things like Udemy are really good for if you're learning marketing and marketing resources. So any of those are things that I typically use. And there, there are other things that we use here at Think Media as well.
Yeah, we're actually having Donald Miller on the podcast. I'm filming it with him in Nashville next week. Building a Story Brand is a good book, and we'll link that up in the show notes. Building a story brand, clarify your message so customers will listen. Man, clarify your message, cut through the noise. If you confuse, you lose. Great book. And stay subscribed to Think Media Podcast, or subscribe if you're not subscribed. And then, by the way, Video Ranking Academy. So, I mean, really what you're learning inside of Video Ranking Academy, you can skip there because you're a podcast listener, vrapodcast.com. It's an investment. At this point, by the way, lifetime access to VRA goes away in April. So there's only like one more month to be grandfathered into future updates and whatnot. So if you've ever been on the fence about joining our signature YouTube course, vrapodcast.com, lifetime access.
About YouTube Secrets as well.
YouTube Secrets, the book. Yeah, I think
That's
thinking
gold.
about
Marketing gold.
continue to invest in that kind of stuff. And VRA in the future, not only will lifetime access be going away, not for people who have it, but for in the future, it'll be just kind of more continuity, like $97 a month at least, just kind of ongoing. But right now, whether you do the payment plan or if you pay in full at vrapodcast.com, you can not just be locked into future updates. There's a couple other bonuses. And so that's another resource for you. That's a great question. And let's see. Is approaching your channel with that attitude of it's about the one and not the 99 irrelevant strategy? John, it's a good question because I think that it is for a couple reasons. Here's one that you maybe didn't think. I think too many YouTube creators are like, oh, cool, my video got 1,000 views. I just reached 1,000 people. I think that's actually the wrong mindset. Go look at your audience retention of your YouTube short. Go look at the audience retention of your video. I think that one of your goals should be, I want to reach thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, or even millions of people, but I don't want to be delusional about how much impact I'm having. Like some marketing agencies will say, we got you this many impressions. And you'd be like, okay, cool. But like, and by the way, that's great. Oh, I got 40 million impressions. But it really is a long tail about the impact you're making. So I actually think you should be thinking about, let's just even look at, that it really is kind of like a funnel. The video got 10,000 views, but only 10% of people were watching at the end. That's 1,000. And maybe you gave a call to action to join your email newsletter, and that was 100. And then maybe only one or two people on your email newsletter were interested in the product or program that you have. So the attitude of actually, it's not that it's not about the 99. I actually want to reach the 99, but know that my deepest impact is going to be in a smaller group of people. And so, I did a video on if I started a channel in 2024. I am not delusional to think that 328,000 people watched till the end, for example. So even though this video is crushing, as far as people watching to the end, not too bad, but 25% were watching. So, oh my gosh, I got 328,000 views. And mind you, the audience retention curve is not too bad, but it's going to be, 25% of that. So 328,000 times 0.25. So 82,000 were still watching at the end. And by the way, for some of y'all, you might be like, shoot, I got that hockey stick thing. Like it goes flat. And then it's like 5% watch the rest of the video. I flip it. That's not a bad thing. It's just you being more realistic and data driven. People get intoxicated on their shorts views. They get intoxicated on their vanity metrics and should be just more thoughtful about like how much work it takes, what impact really looks like. And then I'm curious Sam's thoughts, but I would say that I don't know. I wouldn't even call that a strategy. I'd call it's like a mindset. It's like, is it an approach to have a mindset? Of course, it's also like Jesus didn't care if the crowds left, but he invested in 12 guys who flipped the whole world upside down once he passed the baton, and the 12 apostles, 12 disciples minus one plus Paul, lit the world on fire. And here we are today with churches and the movement of Christianity and whatever. So that's a leadership mindset. True leaders don't worry about impressing the crowds and amassing as many followers as possible. Leaders create leaders, not more followers. It doesn't mean they're not well followed, but leaders understand that, man, I'm not looking for 1,000 people to take it. I'm looking for a couple world changers. I'm hoping 1 or 2 people catch this. I hope Paul thinks that way too. He's like, man, I know what a youth pastor did and changed my life. So if my channel could serve a wide amount of people, maybe go a little bit deeper with a mid amount of people, but if I could really impact one person, and to that point, John, I would say it's a good mindset, but I think it's the business mindset is still interested in the big numbers. You need to be. You need the big number. You need the cash flow. You need the bigger numbers. You need to those mathematics are critical. If you want affiliate clicks and you're making 4% on $100 product, you got to do the math. And I need at least this many views to get this many clicks, to get this many sales, so I can get this much income. And you can't just be like, oh, it's about the one. If it's about the $1, that's not going to pay your mortgage. So if it's about impacting one person, it's a good mindset. But yeah, Sam, any thoughts?
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you just said. And I think that this mindset, and I agree with that summation of it. It is a mindset. Where it could turn into a potential piece of strategy is analyzing an avatar. So, right, the avatar of who you're reaching with your channel, and then how can I reach more people like that one to get to those bigger numbers and helping more people. And that's why it reminds me of like thinking through the topic of comments, and people are all about the views, and 300,000 views. Yeah, that's great. And but zero, like you see those videos where it's tons of views, 0 comments, or tons of views, few comments, and no responses. And this is where I think people get tripped up, is that, yeah, I'm reaching all the views, but then you lose that sight when you really do have that opportunity to hit the one and build that community, and then also start to understand at a deeper level, who am I actually reaching? And then how can I strategically reach more people like that? And so that's kind of where my head goes as far as building that mindset and moving that mindset to a strategy.
That's genius. We teach a VRA. Sometimes when you go broad appeal and trend surfing, you're trying to get tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views, but you want to have a polarizing call to action, is exactly what Sam said. But maybe there's one ideal client for you, and that's going to be that one person. So you get broad reach, and then it's the Alex Hormozi strategy. His ideal client is a company that he basically acquires majority ownership of for acquisition.com. It's not 1%. It's not 1% of 1%. He's getting millions of top line views. I'm actually shooting an interview with Layla Hormozi tomorrow. And they're getting a zillion views, but the group of people they want to work with is very small. So that's interesting. I like where you took it, Sam, because it's kind of like, yeah, let me go viral on YouTube, but then let me also be very clear about my ideal client, my ideal business model, and their business model. He's got books now. He's got some other stuff. They're doing some workshops, but their ideal business model is to find one business to acquire majority ownership of, and then growth hack for their portfolio companies. So it's not about the 99, it's about the one. A lot of different angles we could take that. It's a fun conversation. Okay, we'll do like a couple more questions here. Roaming the Cotswolds. Hi guys, recently launched a YouTube channel. I want to ask if 2 promotion is worth the money and will help you grow in views and subscribers. Number 1, I've heard bad reports from others. Number 2, haven't tested it personally. We plan to, and we actually have that in the queue, and life gets busy and we're planning Grow a Video Live. But Sam, do you know anybody that's tried it yet, or we're just waiting until we can test it?
Yeah, I don't know anybody personally that's tried it. The one thing that I would caution on that is, depending on the size of your channel, you're potentially getting your video in front of people that don't want it. And so, the promotion strategy, there's a place for that depending on the phase you're at in your channel growth. So,
yeah, I would say, yeah, set up your account, select your videos, set up targeting, choose your budget. If I'm you, I want to invest my money in better content. If I'm you, I want to invest my money in a plane ticket to go collaborate and film with somebody. I want to invest my money in an event, in a camera, in education, and not paid promotion. We will do some tests on it, but organic growth for building an organic audience is always the best way. So then investing in just your own skills as well as maybe tools for content creation, I believe is the best bang for your buck. How to connect with brands, AI tools for sponsored videos. Is it better to find them on LinkedIn? How to write your first message. So I think it's always helpful to figure out who the players are. Who's their chief marketing officer? Do they have an influencer brand director and something like that? And sure, connect with them on LinkedIn, follow them on Twitter, DM them on Twitter, DM them on LinkedIn, DM the brand, it's better if it's a human, find the person. The more you network, this is also why to come to events. Because if you can get a warm introduction from somebody, you want to work with Opus Clip. But by the way, we were just at Social Media Marketing World, Kyle and I, filming some stuff, and I spoke there. And Opus Clip, like the key people were there. Like the in-video AI, the founder was there on the floor at the booth. So similarly at like Grow with Video Live, we have sponsors and booths that'll be there and whatnot. But whether it's that or VidCon or any and back to, should you pay money to promote your videos? Invest money in events, plane tickets, better content, yourself, your skills, your network. And you don't need a ton of money to do that. Come on, Spirit Airlines. Come on, Southwest. Come on, Motel 6. Come on, your cousin's couch. But LinkedIn, Twitter, email, the email on their website, the marketing email, the PR email inside of our in VRA Elite, where Sam's one of our coaches. We could pass along resources like that we have, but also just try a lot. I mean, that's everything. Like send more than you think you need to and reach out. But punchline is this: there's so much noise online. Old school stuff is the best. Like get in front of people, and one by one. And so you might not be able to do that for 6 months, 12 months. That's fine. But that's the mindset. I think too many of us in the creator economy stay stuck behind our computers. You need to go outside. That's the tip of the day. And then forget the brand deals. I need to go outside. We need some fresh air. Can we all agree? A little less screen time, a little more fresh air. Sam, any thoughts about how people are getting brand deals in our community, or ways they're opening up the messaging? Or
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of the really strong points. Just being a part of the conversation is one of the biggest things. So interacting with those brands through their posts, their comments, their videos, and being seen, and then continuing to make quality content yourself. And then it'll be worth their time to actually connect with you. So, yeah.
I love it. And Drea just dropped a link if you want to check out Opus Clip. Miss Elmore just said, I tried Opus Clip today for the first time, posted a clip from a long YouTube. It's a great software. And there is a lot of cool new AI tools. And I think you're on a good track by leaning into AI as well. So can we give it up for Sam on Coffee with Cannell today? And a couple things. If you did get value today, you want to smash like. A couple other things. If you haven't got your ticket to Grow a Video Live, why haven't you? Just curious. I understand. Maybe, is it money? Are you busy? You have other plans? You don't want to come? Thoughts? Why haven't you got your ticket? But if you are on the fence, or if you don't even know what Grow a Video Live is, Grow a Video Live is the #1 event for growing your business and personal brand with video. It's happening in Las Vegas, April 24th, 25, and 26. And we just announced today, Cody Sanchez has been added to the lineup of our speakers. Let me know this if you're here live. Do you know who Cody Sanchez is? You're like, cool. I don't even know who that is. All right, great. Why'd we invite her? So Cody Sanchez is, what you'll probably notice about our conference is there's other events out there, but a lot of them lean pretty heavy entertainment. They lean, and we have a lot of content creators that do edutainment or entertainment, but I would say Grow Video Live is the #1 event for business-minded content creators, but entrepreneurs and small business owners. more specifically educators. So you'll notice our speakers are like entrepreneurs. Cody Sanchez does a lot of like buys and sells businesses, etc. But our speakers are at the intersection of being entrepreneur business owners and insane content creators. So she just crossed 1 million subscribers. She's pulling 4 million views a month, just grew 30,000 subscribers. She's kind of blowing up right now. So that's Cody Sanchez, but I'm curious if you know who that is. And then again, you know, Dave Ramsey is education, personal finance education. Pat Flynn, he's kind of both because he's got Deep Pocket Monster, which is all Pokemon stuff and some unwrappings and really creative content. But he's also the founder of Smart Passive Income. Chalene Johnson educates on personal branding, Instagram, has bought and sold multiple businesses. So what you might notice, and by the way, even John Bevere, who is a minister and an author and a speaker, is got 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's actually, we did some coaching with John. We had 30,000 subscribers when we met. And he was like, Sean, he texts me. He's like, man, following your guys' strategies and stuff you teach at VRA Elite has really helped us grow. So we're excited. Of course, that session's more about, there's an optional Bible study and prayer session. It's gonna be fun and having him speak. But Grow Up Video Live is really the intersection of business, personal branding. If you want to be a speaker, best-selling author, if you're a local business owner, small business owner, entrepreneur, there's no other event like it. I mean, and so really excited. We got Dave, we got Cody, we got Pat, we got Chalene, we got John, and then David Shands, incredible podcast expert, also has a brick and mortar content creation studio in Atlanta. We did a video all about that. So growwithvideolive.com. Don't sleep until the event. Don't sleep for 54 days. Don't sleep on buying tickets. It's going to be a fun event, but let me know. John Bevere is amazing. Love his books. She's an amazing speaker. Never heard of her. Fair enough. Well, you're going to love her session if you're coming. So why are you coming to YouTube? Why or why not? Just curious. And you want a free ticket? You know what we should do? We're not going to do it now because we're not prepared. But in the future Coffee with Cannell, turn on notifications. We're going to give away tickets to Grow a Video Live. Just coming. The idea is coming to me right now. We're landing the plane, so it's too late. But would you want a free ticket to Grow a Video Live? Let me know. And we're excited. Okay, Coffee with Cannell. My name is Sean Cannell. This is the Think Media Podcast. This is the Coffee with Cannell show. I'm your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel. Thanks so much for being a part of the community. 2 hours and 17 minutes into this stream. About to get on a flight, head to Vegas to film some new videos, but I appreciate you, sending you some love and respect today. And until then, keep crushing it, keep smashing it, and we will talk soon. Peace.